Yeah, it is. I feel fine. Hi, YouTubers. I hope you feel fine as well. It's your host, the Christian conservative you're going to learn to love, Pastor Steve. Welcome to another exciting, brand new adventure of current Christian commentary and news. I already told you I'm your host. Were you not paying attention? Just kidding. All right, a little different today. Trying out some new software, trying to improve on this. And as I tape this, today is August 2nd, 2016. It's a little past noon Arizona time. We are currently following I don't know what to call it, an eclipse of the sun. Now, this could be just an eclipse of our ability to view the sun because the satellites are being calibrated, or I don't know what. If you're on my Facebook, and please become a member of my Facebook, I think you're seeing it right now if I'm doing this correctly. That's my Facebook page, Pastor Steve. Doesn't get any easier than that. But let me see if I can show you here real quick. Yeah, there we go. SDO, which is the satellite, one of the satellites that NASA uses to watch the sun, is currently showing some type of eclipse of the sun that was not expected. Okay, so not sure what to make of that. You know, one of the reasons why I did those oh, come on, I'm done with this. One of the reasons why I made those videos about the objects I was seeing was because my only interest is a biblical one. But that's not what I'm doing this about today. Today I want to talk a little bit about prepping or preparing as a Christian for some type of catastrophe. Now, even President Obama, for those of you naysayers, even President Obama recently addressed FEMA and told the nation that all of us should be ready, should have some preparedness in the event of emergency. Now, of course, FEMA's big thing is, you know, Hurricane Katrina and those kind of things, natural disasters. But we also know, you really have to have your head buried in the sand, that our grid, our electric grid in this country is wide open and vulnerable to attacks by terrorists. And so think about it, if our electric goes out for any length of time across the country, your life is going to be dramatically changed. Hence the reason why I use the music, It's the End of the World as we know it. Now, I'm not predicting anything, but I'm just going by the government guidelines here. I am not a prepper in the traditional sense of the word. That's a choice that I made because my Bible tells me I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. So, yeah, I'm not really a prepper in that regard. However, there's the old joke about the lady who was in a torrential rains and a flood, and the flood was about a foot deep, and all of a sudden the rescue boat pulled up to her front door of her house and said, "Lady, get in. You know the flood's coming. You gotta get in the boat and come with us." And she says, "No, I'm trusting God." I know some of you have heard this, but and then the water gets up to the second floor of her house. Now the flood up to the second floor of her house, and another boat comes by, and she said, and the rescuers say, "Lady, you got to get in the boat. The flood's gonna, it's gonna wipe you out." No, she says, "I'm just trusting the Lord." Finally, at night, late at night, the water is all the way up to the roof of her house, and there she is, standing on the roof of her house. I wish I had sound effects, but all of a sudden a helicopter comes, and in a microphone and a big spotlight on her says, "Lady, you gotta get in the helicopter. The flood's gonna kill you." She says, "No, I'm trusting the Lord." About an hour later, the flood wipes her out and kills her, and she gets to heaven, and she says, "God, I don't understand. I was in the flood, and I trusted you, and you didn't save me." And then God says to her, "Well, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What more do you want?" So, yes, I'm trusting the Lord, but I'm not a traditional prepper. Now, it's a good idea. It's just a good idea, according to our government, FEMA, and you can look at that website. I'll show it to you here again real quick. That's the FEMA website, and this is President Obama, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's just a good idea to have some supplies on hand. Generally, you work in the rule of threes. 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. I probably have 3 days worth of extra water, 3 days worth of extra rations, Maybe a little more than that. But it's just a good idea to have that set aside somewhere. Rotate your water if it's been sitting too long. You want to rotate it. You might want to have some bleach around. One drop of Clorox bleach in a gallon of water is enough to purify any of the impurities that build up over time. Of course, if you can boil it, you will. But first aid, food, these kinds of things, it's just common sense, okay? I'm a common sense conservative, and, that's just the way I roll. So it is a good idea. It doesn't mean that you don't have faith if you're prepping. It doesn't mean that, you don't have faith. So here's the worst case scenario. Let's just say the electric grid goes down. Could be from a solar flare. Could be from what they call an EMP, which is a nuclear device that would be detonated over the United States. I find it interesting that these things that look like meteorites are crashing near California. And one news station in California said that they believe they are rockets being tested by China and disintegrating, coming back in the atmosphere. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to do a segment soon on Pokemon and the Chinese connection. But again, sermon for another day. All right. So you're a Christian and you've prepared, and now the electricity has been off for 2 or 3 days, maybe longer. I got news for you, folks. I hate to get graphic here, but if the electric is down long enough in this country, we will have no sewage. Sewage, although it runs downhill, and we all know that, there has to be sewer plants. And those plants are processing sewage by electricity. So sooner or later, your water and your sewer is not going to function. Just saying, all right? So you've been preparing, and you've got 3 weeks worth of food, or you've got 3 months worth of I don't know what. Again, first aid equipment, food, water. If you have a weapon in your house, I told you before, there's a portion in the Old Testament where God actually says if somebody breaks into your house and tries to steal your stuff and you end up shedding their blood, you're not being held responsible. They're the one that tried to break in your house. I'll try and throw that scripture up on the screen here before I finish. But so, if you own weapons, I don't care whether it's a 22 or a 12 gauge. Anything's better than nothing, because we know that there's evil in the world, and if it gets out that you have stuff, people that have not prepared will try and take your stuff. That's just the evil, sinful nature of man. But you're a Christian, and where do you draw the line if the stuff hits the fan? Where do you draw the line as far as helping other people? Oh my! Well, you're a Christian. You're supposed to help other people. That's right, you are. But are you supposed to help other people to the extent that it's going to end up hurting you or your own family? No, I don't think so, and I think I got scripture to back it up. I'm not going to give you a Bible lesson here, but you can read Matthew chapter 25, and this is the story of the 10 virgins. They're waiting for the bridegroom, which is a type of us waiting for the return of Jesus Christ. But I'm not going to preach to you today. But in verse 9, when the bridegroom comes, all of a sudden 5 of the virgins are out of oil. They don't have oil. They can't go to the wedding feast. And they turn to the other 5 and they say, hey, give us some of your oil so we can, participate. And the 5 in verse 9 turn to the other 5 and say, not so. They're literally saying, no way. You go buy your own food. So you're not biblically obligated as a Christian to share anything that you're not comfortable sharing, especially if it's going to mean that you and your family have to do without. If people are not wise enough to prepare for these kinds of things, we as a church, or as Christians, I should say, are not obligated to help them. We're not obligated. Now, we certainly can try. I can tell you in my church, there are many, I'm not going to give their names and I won't tell who they are, but there are many who have stocked up enough stuff and to take care of the people in our church. Now, I know this doesn't sound very Christian, but once again, I refer you to Matthew chapter 25. Now, think about it. No electricity is going to mean no communication. You're not going to be able to get on the internet. You're not going to be able to pick up the phone. Your cell phone is not going to work. Believe me, folks, I was there during 9/11. Let me refer you once again to my video that's called They Stole the Church Bells, Didn't They? And what I'm trying to warn everybody about is what took place for me personally in Washington, D.C. and my family on 9/11. No communication whatsoever. My family was divided. My youngest daughter and I, my middle daughter and my wife, together, but we were not together. We were separate. We were separated, and no way to communicate with each other. So when you get a chance, check out my video called "They Stole the Church Bells." So one of the things that we're doing down here is I have a handful of people that I trust. These are all Christians. They're people that I would trust with my life, and we're kind of like-minded, and we're just, look, we don't obsess about this stuff, but we're trying to be prepared. One of the things that we've all done is we've all chipped in and we've all bought these little walkie-talkies. They are relatively inexpensive. Oh, of course, I got to lose the picture. But they're relatively inexpensive. I think you can see them there. You know what I'm talking about. These are the ones that, I'll try and refresh that if I can. These are rather cheap, and they're only going to work, down the street or a couple of blocks away. But believe it or not, this one's a 36 channel, very inexpensive. Everyone in our group down here that's a part of the prepping group, if you will, we all have these, and we all know what channel we're going to be on. Now, if there's some type of military takeover, I understand that the government will jam our signal and so on and so forth, but it'd just be nice if there is no other form of communication to be able to pick up that walkie-talkie and be able to talk directly with some of the other families here in town. I live in a very small town at the border of Mexico in southern Arizona, and so it would just be really, really nice. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about today is an encryption program. Now this is only good for preparations, but we all know that government and other eavesdropping spy types can listen into our emails, they can look at our emails, they can look at our communications, and I get all that. But if you're trying to put together a group, or you have a group, I want to share something with you that's absolutely free, absolutely safe, and while the internet is still working, you'll be able to use. This is called Secure Plus. It is a free chat program. The directions are right here. I'll put the link up on the screen. Here's the link. It's www.secure.plus. And what you do is you create a channel ID, you create a value ID, and you put your name in there. I'm going to show that in just a second. The directions are here. It's pretty simple. Number one, channel identifier, an 8-character case-sensitive string. Now, here's the deal. You have a conversation with somebody across town, and you want to have a secure chat that not even the government, this is why the government's trying to make this illegal, but not even the government will be able to listen in on your conversation. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you my channel identifier. My channel identifier in this case is Pastor Steve 82108. And I'm going to put it right there, okay? Now, if you want to communicate with me, I'm going to stay in this chat room until about 1:30 Arizona time. So today's August 2nd, 2016. It's going to take me a while to upload this video, so I'm going to try it for 2 o'clock. I'm going to try and stay on the chat channel so that you can see this actually works. You'll be able to chat with me live until about 2 p.m. this afternoon. After that, try it with your friends, make up your own channel ID, and then as the instructions say right here, you need a key value. And this is a 16 characters, case sensitive. Remember, this is the real deal, folks. It's encryption. Now, some of you skeptics are saying, oh, yeah, sure, this is probably just puts me right into the government and lets them watch our chat. Buddy boy, I got news for you. They can watch your chat on YouTube. They can watch your chat on Facebook. They're already seeing your chat. I'm telling you, this was developed by one of the guys in my circle of trust down here in southern Arizona. The guy's a bit of a genius. Again, I don't want to use his name, but this is the deal. So the key value, I'm going to show you my key value, and this has to change every time. But I just made up a number here, as you'll see. It's 202, the area code for Washington, D.C., 555-1212, teasing our GOVT. So there it is. Pause this video if you want to write that down or copy. Well, you can't copy and paste off YouTube. But I'm going to put that in as the key value. I think it's going to disappear here. Yeah, it's going to show you all dots there. So once again, I'm going to show it to you one more time. The channel identifier right there is Pastor Steve 8218. That's just the name of the chat room. The key value is 202-555-1212, teasing our GOVT. No spaces, no dots, no nothing. And that's the key value. That's the actual encryption that's going to be used for this specific chat. And then, of course, I'm going to put in the chat room my username, which, of course, oops, sorry about that, is Pastor Steve. And now I'm going to create the chat room. So if you have Pastor Steve ID 8218, the key value that I already gave you, you're going to want to connect. And right now, if any of you join me live, you'll be able to chat with me live until about 2 o'clock Arizona time, Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016. If you can't catch me live, I'm the only one in the room right now. If you can't catch me live, try it with one of your friends. This is absolutely free. It is 100% secure. There is no advertising in order to remain anonymous. There's no, so on and so forth. You can support the site if you want to by clicking on the message page, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to leave a link. It's secure.plus.html, and this is something that you can use to communicate with your groups until they take away every means of communication from all of us. All right. So last but not least, if the stuff does hit the fan, people are going to naturally. We know this by history. People are going to get into small collectives. My church is an entire collective. If you happen to go to my church down here in Southern Arizona, you're already in the club. But here's the thing: I don't think, and I think God forbid that that we should need any of this. But the Lord told us to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And so if we ever have to go to a situation where there is no electric, where there is no communication, and we do have to help each other, every member of our group, and I believe every member of your group, and if you have a group, you start something like this, you are the group leader by default until further notice. And I'm not necessarily going to be the leader, I'm the pastor, but, to me, anyone that's part of our collective, must, and this is the only rule I'm going to tell you. Of course, in our group, we're going to be praying and we're going to be praising the Lord because it just means that Jesus is coming back soon. But your group will have its own personality and its own quirks and its own traits. But every able-bodied person is going to have to bring something to the table every day. Now, that may mean cleaning the latrines. That may mean cooking. That may mean, being the medical care person. That may mean going out and hunting for food, bringing something back. But nobody, unless they're old or their young children, should be a part of your collective group unless they bring something to the table every day. This is just some common sense stuff that I wanted to inform you about. I hope we don't need it. It's like me hoping to be wrong about the end of the world and the economic collapse that I see coming on the future horizon. But that's a sermon for another day. Man, I'm just so glad that you tuned into this channel. Please send this on to your Christian friends. By the way, that encryption, it's the real deal. I'm just trusting by faith that nobody who learns about this from this channel or from another channel, and you're more than welcome to copy this to your friends, I don't care. But I'm just hoping, because unfortunately the terrorists can also use this, and that's not something that I want to see done. I'm doing this just for you folks and any like-minded out there. But listen, it really is the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. I hope you do too. And don't forget to tell your friends. Please subscribe. Join my Facebook page if you would, because it is the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. God's best to you and yours. We'll see you next time.
This house is sure gone crazy.